In Italy, a lion takes a late-night stroll in the residential streets of Ladispoli.
Authorities captured the big cat after 2 sedation attempts. More details on this later in the news. Good evening, I am Gianna Llanes.
I am Nina Richie Alagao-Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Now for the headlines. Philippines gears up for Maharlika Investment Corporation with its newly appointed chief. PCG reports a significant influx of Chinese vessels near the second Thomas Shoal. Thousands march in France to protest rising anti-Semitism in the wake of the ongoing Israel-Gaza war. Rescue teams in northern India confirm the safety of 40 workers trapped in a collapsed tunnel. And pop superstar Taylor Swift makes Grammy Awards history. Support for the recently released Implementing Rules and Regulations, or IRR, of the Maharlika Investment Fund, or MIF, has been pouring in after its official publication last Saturday. President Marcos has further demonstrated his commitment by appointing Rafael Consing Jr. as the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Maharlika Investment Corporation. In this role, Consing is anticipated to provide leadership overseeing the corporation's operations and internal administration. Moreover, he will be responsible for managing a diverse portfolio of investments in both local and global financial markets and other assets aligned with the MIF's objectives. Speaker Ferdinand Martin Romualdez commended President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. for his dedication to fortifying the independence of the Board of Directors of the Maharlika Investment Corporation. He emphasized that the President's actions are poised to bolster corporate governance, ensuring that the MIF is managed with the utmost transparency and accountability. Budget Secretary Amena Pangandaman echoed Speaker Romualdez's sentiments, praising President Marcos for his wholehearted support in fully operationalizing the MIF through the revised IRR.
A big-time oil price rollback is set to take effect tomorrow. Oil industry sources project that gasoline prices will drop by 70 centavos per liter, kerosene prices cut by 2 pesos and 30 centavos per liter. Meanwhile, diesel prices lowered by 3 pesos per liter. According to the Department of Energy Oil Industry Management Bureau, the rollback is due to the low demands in the United States as well as weak exports from China.
The Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, has issued a reminder to all private sector employers to ensure the timely release of the mandated 13th month pay for their employees, with a deadline set no later than the 24th of December. Labor Secretary Bienvenido Laguesma emphasized the department's annual guidelines for accurately computing this mandatory benefit for all employees in private companies. Those entitled to the benefit include rank-and-file employees paid on a piece rate basis, fixed or guaranteed wage plus commission. As per the guidelines, the minimum 13th month pay should not be less than a 12th of the total basic salary earned by an employee within the calendar year. This requirement is in accordance with the Labor Code of the Philippines and Presidential Decree 851. To ensure compliance with this general labor standard, the department's regional, field, or provincial offices with jurisdiction over the workplace will actively monitor the release of the 13th month pay by employers.
Surigao del Norte Representative Robert Ace Barbers has filed House Bill 9446, creating a special court known as a dangerous drugs court in every city and province in the country. This is to speed up this deposition of pending drug cases. Barbers disclosed that data from the Philippine Drugs Enforcement Agency, the Philippine National Police, and the National Bureau of Investigation show that about 400,000 drug cases were filed in court from year 2000 to 2022. He added that out of the given figures, only 28% of cases have been resolved or have been handed a decision by the judiciary. Barbers explained that the slow track of drug cases may be due to congested trial courts. The Mindanao lawmaker pointed out that the absence of drug courts delays the issuance of court orders and other processes in confiscating illegal drugs.
The Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, said a scheduled repatriation is set for the Filipino seafarers who were on board the ship hit by a Russian missile in the Black Sea. DMW has coordinated with a manning agency for the crew members' immediate repatriation. The agency has already talked with the Filipino crew members, citing they are in safe and good condition. DMW disclosed that 3 of the 24 crew members were hurt following the incident.
The Department of Health signed a landmark agreement with the United Nations agencies to tackle the issue in the Philippines. Among those who co-signed are UNICEF, the United Nations Office for Project Services, or UNOPS, and the World Bank. Health Secretary Ted Arbosa underscored the comprehensive nature of the initiative, stressing its strategic connection with social and economic development goals. The agency disclosed that the project seeks to impose a package of interventions to battle malnutrition and strengthen key behaviors known to decrease stunting. Meanwhile, UNICEF and UNOPS are assigned to strengthen primary health care and nutrition services. The partnership promises to boost the health department with worldwide expertise and resources to broaden its knowledge and network.
About 14 Filipinos, along with their Palestinian spouses and relatives, have successfully crossed the border to Egypt from Gaza amid the ongoing conflict between Israel and the militant group Hamas. They are anticipated to arrive in Cairo soon after exiting Gaza through the Rafah border crossing. However, there are around 20 more Filipinos in Gaza who are currently hesitant to cross the border. Foreign Affairs Undersecretary Eduardo de Vega emphasized that the conditions in Gaza are deteriorating, prompting the government to urge Filipinos to consider the mandatory repatriation while the border crossing remains open. De Vega highlighted that the openness of the border is not guaranteed, making this an opportune time for departure. Nevertheless, if these Filipinos choose to stay in Gaza despite the situation, the Philippine government will explore other forms of assistance to support them.
Coming up, China continues to escalate tensions in the West Philippine Sea. Thousands take to the streets of France to speak out against religious persecution. And Papua New Guinea is making big business moves. Stay tuned, Mata ng Agila International will return for more global news.
This portion. Ang Best Public Affairs Program. And the star goes to Open for Business Net 25.
It is a signal to the world that we are open for business.
Open for Business with Cesar Vallejos every Sunday, 9 p.m.
Sa dami ng problema, parang ang hirap ng huminga, di ba? Minsan pakiramdam mo, hopeless na. Kaya dapat ihayag ang saloobin, himayin ang hinaing, alamin ang pwedeng gawin. Mag-reality check tayo.
Tirang Real Talk ng Bayan.
Welcome back to Mata ng Agila International. The Philippine Coast Guard recently encountered a significant influx of 38 Chinese vessels near the Second Thomas Shoal during their latest resupply mission to the BRP Sierra Madre outpost. Vin Pascua tells us more.
On Friday morning, the resupply mission faced obstacles from Beijing's vessels, one of them even deploying a water cannon against a Filipino supply boat, a reoccurrence of China's past actions. Representative Rufus Rodriguez proposed a safer alternative in light of the recent incidents, delivering supplies via airdrop to avoid endangering civilian boats during resupply missions to the shoal. Rodriguez suggested involving our allies in the airdrop efforts with military videographers and photographers documenting the missions. Meanwhile, Senator Francis Tolentino recommended diplomatic actions, urging the Foreign Affairs Department to engage with the Chinese ambassador and consider recalling the Philippine ambassador in Beijing. Tolentino also called for elevating the West Philippine Sea issue to the United Nations. However, he opposed the idea of airdrop missions, emphasizing that the country has every right to be present in the area. In a show of solidarity, the United States government reaffirmed its unwavering support for the Philippines in the face of China's persistent harassment in the West Philippine Sea. Washington emphasized the binding nature of the 2016 arbitral award. Vin Pascua reporting for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
The Supreme Court has granted the petition of Lincoln Ong and Michael Yang, executives of Farmley Pharmaceutical Corporation, to nullify the contempt and arrest orders against them. The court's decision cited that the arrest orders violated the rights of the implicated executives to due process. However, the Supreme Court did not agree with the petitioner's accusation that the Senate had overstepped its bounds into the judiciary's contempt power. Senator Sonny Angara clarified that the Supreme Court's concern was centered on the implementation of the Senate's power of contempt and not the power itself. He highlights that the decision emphasizes the need for due process for Ong and Yang.
Russia says it has launched a terrorism inquiry into the derailment of a cargo train southwest of Moscow. The State Investigation Committee says an improvised explosive device caused the train to derail. Kimi Oria has the details.
15 cars of the train left the tracks in the Saturday morning incident. The state-owned railway says one rail worker suffered minor injuries. It is not known what the derailed cars had been carrying. A local report says there is no threat to the environment. So far, Moscow has not pointed the finger at anyone for the explosion. In the past, the Kremlin has accused Kiev of being responsible. Investigators say they are trying to establish all of the circumstances around the incident and identify those involved in the crime. Kimi Oria from Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Russian forces have intensified attacks in eastern Ukraine, aiming to gain ground near two crucial frontline cities. The focus of these efforts is on Bakhmut, the eastern mining city that witnessed the war's deadliest battle yet. Despite Ukrainian troops initially recapturing heights over Bakhmut and making advances in various directions during their summer counteroffensive, Russian forces have consistently pushed back. The Ukrainian counteroffensive, long awaited and aimed at regaining territory, has yielded only incremental gains and incurred heavy losses. Just last Saturday, the Russian army repelled 5 Ukrainian attacks south of Bakhmut.
Tens of thousands of far-right supporters in Poland chanted anti-European slogans at an Independence Day rally. Officials say the annual event Saturday drew 40,000 people, while local media estimated the crowd at 90,000. Pearl Rogacion reports.
Banners and placards called for a Polexit after Britain's Brexit from the EU in January 2020. All Polish youth leader Marcin Kowalski says if there are new changes to European treaties, Poland must be ready to go it on its own. He says future treaties will transform the bloc into a Euro-federalist collective led by the European Commission. The rally comes less than a month after the pro-EU opposition won legislative elections. The Conservative Law and Justice Party is trying to form a new government after falling short of a parliamentary majority in the October 15th vote. But it has little hope of finding a coalition partner. Warsaw's relations with the EU have plummeted since the election. Pearl Rogacion for Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, On Point.
Leaders of 21 countries are converging in San Francisco this week for the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit. Organizers are taking no chances and have beefed up security. Estela Dominique has more.
This is the first time the United States has hosted the summit since 2011, and only the third time it has been held on American soil. One of the highlights of the event will be the meeting between U.S. President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping. It's the first time in more than a year since the two have met. In anticipation of protesters, security fences have been erected around the Moscone Center in San Francisco and other sites where the summit will take place. The city has also cleared out homeless camps in neighborhoods around the conference site. Protests are expected throughout the week with activists demonstrating against corporate profits, environmental abuses, and working conditions. The Israel-Hamas war is also expected to figure in some of the protests. The city's police chief says people have a constitutional right to protest, but adds violence and other criminal acts will not be tolerated. Estela Dominique for Matanang Agila International, Trusted Connected, On Point.
The Israeli Defense Ministry has signed an air defense agreement with Finland, making the latter the first foreign country to acquire Israel's David Sling air defense system. Produced by Israel's Rafael Advanced Defense Systems, David Sling is capable of intercepting missiles and rockets with a range of between 40 and 300 kilometers. Finland says since David Sling system can intercept ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, aircraft, and drones, then it can extend the operational range of their country's ground-based air defense. Israeli Defense Ministry also hails their David Sling as one of the most advanced defense systems in the world. The ministry estimates the purchase agreement between Israel and Finland to be around $339 million.
Israel reported that its fighter jets have targeted Hezbollah positions in southern Lebanon in response to an anti-tank missile attack that injured Israel's near the border. In the vicinity of the village of Dovev, located just 800 meters from Lebanon, a number of civilians were wounded by the anti-tank missile strike. Hezbollah, backed by Iran, claimed responsibility for the attack, stating that it targeted an Israeli team allegedly installing eavesdropping and spying devices near the border. Following the 7th of October Hamas attack, Israel has been engaged in daily exchanges of fire with armed groups in southern Lebanon. Israeli leaders have issued warnings to Hezbollah, cautioning against a full-scale attack on Israel. They emphasize that Hezbollah could face consequences similar to besieged Gaza if it becomes actively involved in the conflict.
On Sunday, more than 180,000 people gather across France to protest against rising anti-Semitism in the wake of Israel's ongoing war against Hamas in Gaza. Police said 105,000 people had joined the Paris march, while Interior Ministry figures put the nationwide figures at 182,000. Thousands of people gathered at more than 70 events across France, including in major cities at Lyon, Nice, and Strasbourg. Paris authorities deployed 3,000 police troops along the route of the protest, where no major incident has been reported. At the front of the Paris march were Prime Minister Elisabeth Borne, representatives of several parties on the left, centrists of President Emmanuel Macron's party, as well as far-right leader Marine Le Pen. Macron did not attend, however, but expressed his support for the protest and called on citizens to rise up against the unbearable resurgence of unbridled anti-Semitism. Home to Europe's largest Jewish and Muslim communities, tensions have been mounting in France since the October 7 attack by the Palestinian militant group Hamas on Israel. According to the Interior Ministry, officials counted 1,247 anti-Semitic acts since October 7, nearly 3 times as many as in the whole of 2022. Sunday's march in Paris appears as the biggest gathering to denounce anti-Semitism in France since a 1990 demonstration against the desecration of a Jewish cemetery.
An anti-government protest in the capital of Honduras drew thousands of people on the weekend. The demonstrators are upset about what they see as an abuse of power by President Xiomara Castro's government. Bruce Balmeo reports.
An estimated 10,000 people attended the anti-government rally Saturday. Opposition parties organized the protests in the capital of Tegucigalpa. They say the Honduran government is appointing chief prosecutors nominated by a congressional committee only made up of pro-government lawmakers. The opposition says that violates the Constitution, adding the whole Congress should be involved. David Chavez, head of the right-wing National Party, says Honduras does not want a dictatorship like Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. Castro has said she wants to strengthen relations with those three countries. Bruce Baumeo for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
The U.S. military has conducted airstrikes in 2 locations in eastern Syria, targeting Iranian-backed groups. The strikes hit a training location and a weapons facility and marks the 3rd retaliatory action against militants responsible for a growing number of attacks on bases housing American troops in Iraq and Syria. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin stated that the airstrikes focused on sites near Abu Kama and Mayadeen, which were utilized by Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps. The militant groups have carried out nearly 50 attacks on American bases in the region since 17th of October. The Pentagon reported that about 56 U.S. personnel were injured in the attacks in Syria and Iraq, but all have since returned to duty.
United States House Speaker Mike Johnson has revealed a new proposal to avoid a government shutdown. 3 media sources that have seen the draft say the budget plan excludes additional funding for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. Sources say Johnson insists aid to Ukraine should be made in a separate proposal. But the White House, through Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, says Johnson's proposal is a threat to the United States' national security. She urged the House Republicans to stop wasting time on political divisions. Instead, she asserts they should work in a bipartisan way to prevent a government shutdown. The document must be adopted by November 17. Otherwise, political analysts say the operation of the United States government will be halted.
White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said that United States President Joe Biden is set to resume military ties with China. This is ahead of Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping's meeting during the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit, or APEC, this Wednesday in San Francisco. Sullivan disclosed that Biden believed restoring military ties with China was the U.S. national security interest. U.S. senior officials said that the bilateral meeting between Biden and Xi is expected to tackle global issues from Israel-Hamas war to Russia's war with Ukraine, North Korea's relations with Russia, Taiwan, as well as the Indo-Pacific. The government of South Africa says the skills shortage is the 2nd biggest impediment to its economic growth. Economists believe the acute shortage of skilled workers in South Africa limits job creation in the country. They say such foreign investors are also thinking twice about whether they would invest their money in South Africa. Local reports state the Home Affairs Department could resolve the problem. But many South Africans say the Home Affairs Department's failure to deal with their visa system is causing more damage to their economy. Sources say it takes 48 weeks to have a visa application accepted. The team of South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa found that between 2014 and 2022, a total of just 25,298 work permit visas were approved. Annual applications for critical skills visas have more than halved from almost 7,000 in 2017 to only 3,077 in 2021. Car companies like Volkswagen and BMW warned that delays in the visa process threaten expansion plans, investment, and jobs in South Africa. Schools and small enterprises also complain the Department of Home Affairs appears unable to efficiently process work and residence permits. University authorities and business executives say this inefficient process hampers their operations. Ramaphosa's team is now pushing for reforms to speed up the visa process in the Department of Home Affairs.
Papua New Guinea officially welcomes a global gold company. With this recent investment, the government looks to increase employment in the country. Eco Ortaleza Quinola reports.
Newmont Corporation's Chief Development Officer Peter Thought announces the company's acquisition of all Newcrest operations. This includes the Lihir mining in New Ireland and the Wafi Gulpu project in Morobe. Prime Minister James Marape says the coming of this gold company affirms that Papua New Guinea is an investment destination.
In any case, the PNG business is not affected. In fact, this adds value to our PNG interests. We have a keen interest in what's happening in Lihir. We want Lihir to be ongoing, productions in Lihir to be maintained, return on investment, not just to Newmont now, but to the economy, to our country. Wherever we can collect from must be collected.
Newmont Company will conduct an initial public offering to the Port Moresby Stock Exchange. This allows the public to purchase shares of stocks to the value of 100 million kina. Marape also announces the local employment will increase.
Newmont now brings into the table their own characteristics, their own presence in our country. It just, again, for our country, adds value to our global branding as a good investment destination. What this country effectively has now is the address of the world's #1 gold company. And guess what? The #2 gold company is Barrick. So we got the #1 and #2 in our country. Anyone ever thinks PNG is not a safe investment destination? The fact that Newmont decided to come in and acquire Newcrest and also be part of our country, knowing very well.
He encourages the country to purchase locally to further stimulate the economy.
From Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, Eco Hortaleza Quinola, mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
With a 7 million increase in core subscribers, Disney Plus says they have returned to growth in the fourth quarter of this fiscal year. Analysts say the re-acceleration of Disney Plus's subscriber growth helped the company to further cut its streaming losses. Disney's commitment to creating brand new original series also paid off. In September alone, the streaming giant's numerous Korean series was able to bring in 1.25 million subscribers. Disney's big boss Bob Iger has made it his mission to reach profitability by the fourth quarter of 2024. He earlier said he wants Disney Plus to focus on a more curated lineup. But he stated Disney Plus would continue making originals in countries granting there is a financial sense to do so. Like Netflix, Disney Plus likely profited from stay-at-home movie and series orders in the face of COVID-19.
Up next, the Iglesia ni Cristo has held a series of Care for Humanity outreach programs to food banks in the U.S. Rescue teams in northern India have made contact with the stranded workers. And U.S. Border Patrol agents rescue 132 migrants packed inside a commercial trailer. Mata ng Agila International will be back after a short break.
Ang Lutong Daza dito sa Net25, ako si Sandy Daza.
At ako naman si Patty Daza, and we are the Cooking Cousins. Asahan nyo ang mas nakakatakam na mga recipes, mas malakas na halakhakan.
At tawag ko rito put-put eh.
Put-put. At syempre mga celebrity guests na game na game.
Express sa buhay din. Galing.
Kita-kits sa kusina. Lutong Daza, Saturdays, 11 a.m. sa Net25.
Magandang araw, magandang araw. Magandang araw, magandang araw. Magandang araw, magandang araw. Magandang araw, magandang araw. Any time of the day, it's super saya. Lalo na kung si Ara lagi mong kasama.
The Iglesia ni Cristo has held a series of Care for Humanity outreach programs in the U.S. Tyler Worthern tells us more.
The Church of Christ Care for Humanity initiative has consistently shown its commitment to making a positive impact in the lives of those in need. Today we're focusing on their food bank donations around the globe, which have made a significant difference in communities, demonstrating the power of compassion in action. Food banks and other programs serving vulnerable Canadians are expected to serve 60% more people per month in 2023 than last year.
Nowadays, we are trying to have a community free of poverty. We are asking for the community to helping us.
One of the biggest challenges we have facing is prompting people to step up, like you guys are doing right now.
Over the past year, the Church of Christ Care for Humanity project has been dedicated to assisting underserved communities. With the rising demand for food assistance due to economic challenges and the ongoing pandemic, the project's volunteers have been working tirelessly. The beneficiaries of these generous care packages and monetary donations expressed their gratitude, like the Surrey Food Bank Society.
A special thanks for the Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo Manalo. Words cannot express how much help you guys are doing right now, you are providing right now to the Surrey community.
In this particular church, the Church of Christ, they are following the example of Jesus Christ, which is amazing, which is beautiful.
We know that food banks are calling out institutions, even individuals who may donate to help them in their cause. So it is our commitment, first of all, to our Almighty God and to our fellow men, that we will continue to help and be here for the community.
Food donations include non-perishable items, fresh produce, and essential supplies, ensuring that families and individuals have access to a variety of nutritional options.
It was amazing to see the impact of your organization throughout the world and to see all the different locations that you were in.
Right now, these donations we got from the Church of Christ, we can feed these people right now.
These generous donations are also making a vital difference by reaching out to families in need. Care that is impacting communities and organizations like Diego's.
I would like to say on behalf of the Surrey Food Bank, thank you for helping us.
With so much uncertainty nowadays, this initiative stands as a beacon of hope. The Church of Christ Care for Humanity project is ever committed to serving the community through food bank donations, and is a reminder that compassion and unity can make a world of difference. Brother Tyler Worthern, Washington, D.C. Worldwide, Lingap sa Mamamayan special coverage.
Indian rescue workers have made contact with about 40 workers trapped in a tunnel collapse in Uttarakhand state and confirmed that all of them are safe. The road tunnel collapsed Sunday morning during a shift change. Officials say at least 40 workers are rescued beneath piles of debris. Crews are supplying oxygen to the workers through the debris, about 200 meters of the 4-kilometer-long tunnel. The initial contact was made via a note on a scrap of paper, but later rescuers managed to connect using radio handsets. Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami said authorities were working to remove concrete debris in order to get the workers free. They began their rescue efforts by pumping oxygen into the collapsed section of the tunnel to help workers breathe. The tunnel is part of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's road project aimed to improve connectivity for some of the most popular shrines in the country, as well as areas bordering China.
Experts fear an Icelandic volcano could destroy an entire community. The volcano could erupt any time, threatening the town of Grindavik. Thomas I. Likeness has the report.
This video was shot by a couple who felt tremors in their Grindavik home. More tremors are expected as the volcano gets closer to erupting. Experts are closely monitoring the mountain's activity. Civil Protection Chief Vidar Renneson says it could blow its top anytime.
We're expecting an eruption within a couple of hours, shortest, but at least within a couple of days.
Venison says seismic activity has already damaged roads and buildings in the town. He says he's also worried about infrastructure in the area.
But very close to the town, we have a critical infrastructure. We have a power plant, and we have the freshwater reservoir, and the hot water is also coming from this area. So there's a lot of critical infrastructure very close by.
A state of emergency has been declared. These folks are among the town's 3,700 residents who are packing up and leaving. Resident Hans Werer worries about the future.
It's just sad. Yeah. So I don't know. And now you have this total feeling of uncertainty.
Emergency centers have been opened in several nearby towns, although most of those evacuated are staying with family and friends. At the edge of town, police officer Hermanda Gustafsson stands guard, wondering when the mountain will erupt.
We don't know. We are just waiting. Got a lot of sign, as the scientist says, but we are still waiting. It is a danger. We are expecting it, but we don't know when or when.
In the meantime, residents of this fishing town are keeping their fingers crossed, hoping there will be something to come back to when the volcano settles down. Thomas I. Likeness from Atanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
A suspected gas explosion left at least 31 people injured at a migrant center in Italy's San Lorenzo Nuovo. The video footage showed sections of the two-story building reduced to rubble after the blast. Local media said one individual was in critical condition and transferred to a hospital in Rome. The victim is currently in a coma. The said building was made up of many apartments housing asylum seekers.
A circus lion has spent hours prowling on residential streets after escaping from a visiting circus in Ladispoli, Italy. Named Kimba, the lion was in town with the Ronnie Roller Circus, known for its exotic animals including lions, tigers, and an elephant. Town Mayor Alessandro Grando advised the residents to remain indoors due to the lion on the loose. Authorities have safely captured the big cat after 2 sedation attempts. Circus owner Ronnie Vassallo disclosed that an investigation is underway to find the cause of the escape. More than 20 European countries have banned the use of animals in circuses. Italy, however, is not among them. A cyber attack limited the access to port facilities at DP World Australia. The outage affected operations in Melbourne, Fremantle, Sydney, Botany, Brisbane, and Perth from Friday to Monday morning. DP World reportedly manages almost 40% of the goods flowing in and out of Australia. But local reports say the cyber breach did not affect the supply of goods to major Australian supermarkets. Australia's cybersecurity coordinator Darren Goldie says DP World is now making good progress at bringing its sites back online. He adds that the government is still investigating the case to identify the perpetrators of the cyber attack.
Mexican authorities have found 123 migrants trapped in a trailer in the central state of San Luis Potosi. Mexico's immigration agency reported 34 of the migrants were children. Local officials said it did not provide information about where the migrants were heading. It is unclear if those found in the trailer are part of a migrant caravan currently heading its way to the United States from southern Mexico. Since last October, U.S. authorities have detained 2.2 million migrants along the U.S.-Mexico border.
8 Cuban athletes who competed in the Pan American Games in Chile have decided they don't want to go home. They have asked the Chilean government to grant them asylum. Shenka Dusale reports.
The Chilean Interior Ministry has received applications for asylum from 6 women and 2 men. The women had been on the field hockey team. One of the male athletes is a hurdler. It is not known what event the 8 competed in. The athlete's current visa allows them to stay in Chile until Sunday. A lawyer for the athletes say they could face up to 8 years in prison if their applications are denied and they are sent back to Cuba. Cuba is experiencing the worst economic crisis in decades. that has prompted a massive exodus of mostly young people in the last 2 years. Official figures indicate that since 2022, 187 top-flight athletes have defected. Shan Kadusali Vermata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Yangtze Memory Technologies Corporation, or YMTC, sued its rival Micron, alleging infringement of 8 of its patents. YMTC also filed the same suit against Unit Micron Consumer Products Group. YMTC alleged that U.S. chipmaker Micron used their design, manufacture, and operation of 3D nanotechnology to gain and protect market share. 3D nanotechnology is the stacking of memory chips on top of each other to make devices faster. It can also process and hold more information efficiently while using less energy. China's YMTC said Micron was not paying its fair share to use its patented inventions. YMTC said they are confident that the matter will be resolved swiftly. Meanwhile, Micron has not yet responded to YMTC's allegations. This is a developing story. Agents opened fire after 3 people tried to break into an unmarked Secret Service vehicle just outside the home of United States President Joe Biden's granddaughter, Naomi. Sources say no one was struck by the gunfire. Biden's granddaughter and other occupants of her house are safe. United States Secret Service says the Metropolitan Police Department is now looking for the 3 suspects.
Coming right up, the ponds of Hawaii are turning pink. Net 25 wins big in the Philippine Fashion Trends Awards. And Taylor Swift makes Grammy Awards history. Catch more news in sports and entertainment when we return.
Mga problemang may kinalaman sa pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay.
Ano sa palagay niyo?
Katiwalian at korupsyon sa kung saan-saan.
Ano sa palagay niyo?
Kalusugan.
Ano sa palagay niyo?
Edukasyon.
Ano sa palagay niyo?
Hanap buhay.
Ano sa palagay niyo?
Ang daming issue. Samahan ninyo sina Ali Soto at Pat P. Daza sa pagbusisi sa lahat ng yan at iba pa. Ano sa palagay nyo? Year 3 na!
Sa panahon ng kalamidad, sakuna at trahedya, maraming grupo at individual na lumalabas para tumulong sa kapwa. Kaya kung kayo po ay may kilala, nakakaiba at natatangi ang ginagawang pagresponde sa lipunan, mag-text sa 0915-415-1035 o mag-email sa responde@net25.com. Pwede rin kayo magpadala na mensahe sa ating pong Facebook page at Net25TV. Panahon na para kilalanin natin ang ating mga certified e-responder. Sabado, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi. Dito lamang sa Net25.
In the United States, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is expanding its testing of international air traveler samples. This to include flu, respiratory syncytial virus, and other respiratory viruses. Rosel Feria tells us more.
CDC is conducting a new pilot on samples it is collecting as part of its traveler-based genomic surveillance or TGS program. This will provide early detection of flu, RSV, and select other respiratory viruses. This will be in addition to SARS-CoV-2. The pilot will be implemented by Ginkgo Bioworks and XpressCheck. Ginkgo Bioworks is an American biotech company, while XpressCheck is a company that monitors incoming international flyers to help detect infectious diseases. Samples that test positive for the said viruses will be sequenced and uploaded to public databases. The data will provide valuable information to public health officials and policymakers. The testing will last for several months. The TJS program began during the COVID-19 pandemic and acted as an early warning system. As of September 2023, TGS has enrolled more than 360,000 air travelers. Participation is voluntary and anonymous. Covered flights are from more than 135 countries from all World Health Organization regions. In Washington, D.C., Rosel Feria for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Meanwhile, on Sunday, a speech by Greta Thunberg at a large climate protest in Amsterdam was interrupted by a stage invader. This after Greta changed the topic to the Israel-Hamas war and allowing a Palestinian and Afghan woman to speak during a climate protest in Amsterdam. The man said he came for a climate demonstration and not for a political view, while trying to pull the microphone from Greta's hands. After the man had been removed from the stage, Greta joined the crowd in chanting "No climate justice" on occupied land. Last month, the Swedish climate activist came under fire after sharing pro-Palestinian messages on social media, with some accusing her of not showing support for Israeli victims of the Hamas attacks. Tens of thousands of people walked through the streets of Amsterdam before Thunberg was interrupted, calling for more action from government officials regarding climate change. According to the organizers, around 70,000 people took part, smashing previous records for such a march. A coalition of pressure groups were involved, including Extinction Rebellion, Fridays for Future, Oxfam, and Greenpeace.
A pond in Hawaii has mysteriously turned bright pink, with experts voicing concerns about the bizarre phenomenon. Lab tests found an organism called halobacteria might be the culprit. Halobacteria are a type of archaea or single-celled organism that thrive in bodies of water with high levels of salt. The salinity inside the Kealia pond outlet area is currently twice the salinity of seawater. However, the pond has previously been through periods of drought and high salinity, and it remains a mystery why the color has changed. DNA analysts still need to be done to confirm DNA analysis still needs to be done to confirm the source of the transformation. Visitors are being warned not to enter the water or eat any fish caught there while the cause is investigated.
Net25, along with several of its programs and personalities, garnered various awards and recognitions at the recently concluded Philippine Fashion Trends Awards 2023. Catherine Ortula has the scoop.
Net25 proves that quality journalism and timely delivery of meaningful information is recognized and trusted by many. Wedge Kajamat was acknowledged as the most outstanding news anchor of the year. Alongside Wedge, Ms. Annabel Serrata was also honored as a multi-awarded radio host and outstanding producer of the year.
Maraming salamat at higit sa lahat yung pagkilalang ito na pinagkaloob sa Net25, Mata ng Agila, sa Responde at maging sa atin ni Ate Bel Surara, maging sa Radyo Agila, patunay lamang ng patuloy na tiwala at paniniwala ng ating mga taga-subaybay na ang Net25 tunay na matatag, matapang at matapat, maaasahan sa paghahatid ng tunay na mga balita.
Net25 was also recognized as the best TV network of the year. Responde, Mata ng Mamamayan received the award for Most Outstanding Public Service Program of the Year, while Mata ng Agila Primetime was awarded Most Outstanding News Program of the Year. Meanwhile, Kada Umaga, hosted by Pia Guanyumago, Diana Meneses, and Emma Tiglao, was named Most Outstanding Talk Show of the Year. Several personalities from Net25 were also recognized by the award-giving body. Catherine Ortula For Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Makakaasa sa
Taylor Swift is on a roll right now, making Grammy Awards history with the most number of nominations for Song of the Year. The song that garnered this year's nod in that category was her hit, Anti-Hero. Swift also logged her 6th Album of the Year nomination for Midnights, tying with music icon Barbra Streisand for the most nominations by a female artist in that category. The Eras Tour artist earned a total of 6 nominations, which also included nominations for Record of the Year, Best Pop Solo Performance, and Best Pop Duo Group Performance. SZA leads the way this year with 9 nominations, with Phoebe Bridgers, Sherban Genya, Victoria Monet following with 7 nominations each. The historic music news comes as Swift is in Argentina, kicking off the Latin America leg of her Eras Tour. She performed in Buenos Aires on Thursday and heads to Brazil next week. She will be touring well into 2024 with stops in Japan, Australia, and France, and rounding things out in Canada next December. Swift is on an incredible streak. Her Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour film, collected $150 million domestically and more than $200 million globally.
Now, there's no denying she's definitely a force to reckon
Oh,
with.
yes. I would love to watch the Eras Tour.
Oh, yeah, that kind of power. To start the week, here's a quote from Robert Anson Heinlein, American science fiction author, aeronautical engineer, and naval officer. Love is that condition in which the happiness of another person is essential to your own.
I think that's my favorite thing about love, and the most powerful thing about love is when you see somebody else happy, you're happy yourself. It's just that simple.
And the more you give of yourself, the more it rewards you with happiness.
Yes, it just feels good to love.
Definitely.
And that's a wrap for tonight's news. Catch the latest updates on our social media channels. I am Gianna Llanes.
I am Nina Richie Alagao-Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Thank you for choosing Mata ng On Point with stories from around the globe. Follow, like, and subscribe to @Net25 TV.